Filming Titanic, 1997. Crime reporter questions a gang member during his arrest, Russia, 1991. The oldest advertisement for escort services. These are the sandals of ancient Greek prostitutes with a mirrored inscription, "Follow me." The imprint of the inscription was left on the ground, thus advertising their services. Military dogs during World War I in sentry duty, 1916. Dr. Joseph Mengele, one of the main war criminals in history, conducted inhumane experiments on people in the Auschwitz death camp. This is a warning from a Ku Klux Klan member to African American residents of a Miami neighborhood who were expected to participate in the elections. May 1939. The Institute of Oral Love, 1971. Car in which Al Capone's lawyer, who testified against him, was killed, 1939. Charging an electric car in 1911. Confederate and Union soldiers shaking hands at a Battle of Gettysburg reunion, 1913. Strongman Galen Goff lets a truck drive over him at a California stadium, 1935. Victorious British soldiers of the 137th Staffordshire Brigade of the 46th Division resting after the Battle of Saint-Quentin Canal, northern France, September 29, 1918. A liberated prisoner from the Ebensee concentration camp in Austria, 1945. In 1835, Halley's Comet passed close to Earth, and 2 weeks later, Mark Twain was born. Later, he wrote, "I came in 1835 with Halley's Comet, and I expect to go out with it." And so it happened. Twain died on April 21, 1910, the day after the comet passed again. American Obscurantism, 1873. California, 1890s. The immense stump of a giant sequoia remaining after the tree was cut down to manufacture a huge table for a wealthy American businessman. A couple who moved to a white neighborhood, looking at the graffiti in front of their house, Chicago, 1957. Kate Camberly rescued over 600 animals since 1943. She turned her home into a dog shelter and fought officials to protect her animals. The Nazis used victims' hair to produce socks, fuse, ropes, and mattresses. Camp commanders had to report monthly on the amount of hair collected. Hitler's reaction to the outbreak of World War I, 1914. Then unknown, Adolf Hitler cheers with the crowd in Munich. Crime-fighting bicycle, 1948. It was equipped with 13 shotguns and rifles, 2 revolvers, 6 bayonets, and a flare gun. Lotus feet, an ancient tradition in China, was a fetish based on a woman's helplessness. The mutilated feet prevented her from running away, which gave the man a feeling of power and tempted him with permissiveness. The Chicago Plan of 1833, when the city had only 350 residents. Grandmothers with tattoos. The photo shows elderly women with tattoos, a cultural tradition among Croatian Catholics in the region. Central Bosnia, around 1930. The ambiguous pose of a Pompeian man who died as a result of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius on August 24, 79 AD. 1930s, Germany. A firefighter tests the latest invention, a suit that protects him from fire using jets of water coming from the top of the helmet. Nuns relaxing at a casino with slot machines, Australia, 1971. Enos, America's first astronaut chimpanzee, preparing for his historic launch, 1961. Chinese justice, a prisoner, kneels on chains with hands tied by the pinkies, Mukden, 1906. 19th century American slave advertisement. For sale, a cargo of 94 excellent, healthy Negroes, 39 men, 15 boys, 24 women, and 16 girls, just arrived on the brigantine Dembia. Excavation of the Berezovsky Mammoth, Russian Empire, 1901. Shell casings after shelling enemy positions, Vietnam, 1967. Jail cell where Salem witches were kept, circa 1692. Girls learning golf using a mechanical trainer, 1925. Stuntman Todd Green flies toward death, falling from an airplane wing. He was performing a complex stunt, transferring from the wing of an airplane to a helicopter during an air show near Detroit, USA, 2011. A man fuels up his motorized roller skates, 1961. Light bulbs were once repaired. A worker at a Soviet factory is restoring burned-out electric lamps. December 1942. A Japanese soldier adjusts a Chinese man's head before decapitating him. Execution of a prisoner of war, 1938. Dancing Man. A photo taken on August 15, 1945, in Sydney, Australia. A man is seen dancing in the street out of joy upon hearing the news that World War II has ended. Camels against the backdrop of burning oil fields. The Gulf War, all because of money, Iraq, 1991. Female students on the street during Emperor Hirohito's speech on Japan's surrender, 1945. The body of the last thylacine, Tasmanian tiger, on Earth, and the farmer who killed it, 1930. Korean refugees crossing a bomb-damaged bridge, 1950. Millions of bison skulls, nearly extinct, due to uncontrolled hunting, 1870s. A bicycle corps of the Netherlands Army on the eve of the German invasion in 1940. Finnish troops use a homemade slingshot to throw grenades at invading Soviet forces, 1939. John Pemberton created Coca-Cola to wean himself off morphine. While serving in the military, Dr. Pemberton received a chest wound. To ease the pain, he took morphine. The wound healed, but his addiction to the opioid drug remained. Pemberton decided to develop a recipe for a drink based on coca leaves. The first football kit of FC Barcelona, 1899. In ancient Egypt, to mourn the death of a cat, the owner shaved his eyebrows. In this photo, the English wizard Alex Sanders, self-proclaimed King of Witches, is initiating a young novice into the mysteries of the magical arts. The wizard placed the naked novice in a circle, then lay on top and recited incantations. Thus, the girl became a witch. Sanders died on April 30th, 1988, after a prolonged battle with lung cancer. An aerial photograph of a field where German soldiers held Soviet POWs near Kharkov, 1942. Albert Einstein with a girl on his lap at the opening of the 1939 World's Fair in New York. Ronaldinho once said, "My father taught me that I needed to learn how to control the ball barefoot to better feel my feet. And I promised him that I would control that ball like no one else. But the truth was, he didn't have enough money to buy me shoes. When I won my first Ballon d'Or, I didn't cry from joy. I cried because I no longer had a father." A former Wehrmacht soldier begging. The sign reads, "No eyes, no hands." Germany, 1946. In 1907, around 1,000 women from the Baltics arrived in New York in search of husbands, inspired by rumors of a woman shortage in America. They were met by interested young men on the pier. This roller coaster was designed specifically to end one's life painlessly and easily. According to the creator's design, it can be used for humane capital punishment. Bronze memorial to 82 children killed in the village of Lidis, former Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic. 42 girls and 40 boys died in a gas chamber in Chełmno, the first German death camp designed specifically for mass killings. Johnny Depp's 1994 arrest after he trashed a hotel room while trying to kill a cockroach. In 1980, in France, 140 euthanized dogs were laid out on the Magny-Cours highway. Their owners were going on vacation to the sea and couldn't find anyone to leave the pets with, preferring their death. The annual funeral of Mr. Gernhardt, 1951. Farmer Jim Gernhardt, 75, in his new coffin during the first rehearsal of his own annual funeral, which he continued to hold every year for the next 3 decades until his death at 103. This unique photo shows a typical post-war Moscow health ritual, children napping outdoors in minus 10 degrees Celsius. Folding cots are set up in a snowy yard, and the cocooned children demonstrate Soviet medicine's belief in the miraculous power of cold. USSR, 1958. Bob Marley, accused of marijuana possession on his way to court, London, 1977. Crew members of the American B-29 bomber, Enola Gay. This is the bomber that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima in 1945. American soldiers leave their names on the walls of the bedroom where Adolf Hitler was born. Braunau, Austria, 1945. Sailors of the Italian tall ship Amerigo Vespucci sang goodbye to their wives. Naples, 1963. What do you think of this traditional decoration for mercy women? Plates that stretch the lips. The swastika on the headquarters of the Russian Fascist Party. Manchuria, 1934. A beggar runs after the carriage of British King George V, 1920. Poverty drives the man so much that he competes with the royal horses in speed. Metallica performs a concert at San Quentin Prison, California, 2003. During the grueling search at Ground Zero in 2001, rescue dogs began spiraling into depression because they were only finding bodies. To boost their morale, volunteers hid in the rubble, allowing the dogs to find living survivors and restore their spirit. Wedding motorcade, Chelyabinsk region, Russia, 1990s. photograph entitled "The Eyes of Hatred" of Joseph Goebbels when learning that the photographer taking his picture was Jewish, 1933. Soviet Soldiers by Hitler's Globe, 1945. Liverpool goalkeeper Ray Clemens patiently waiting during a match against West Ham, while a dog expresses its opinion of his performance. England, 1972. Trainer Yuri Kuklichov losing a chess game to his cat, 1980s. Imperial fish-shaped boat, India, 1857. This 1910 service vehicle was a revolutionary breakthrough for U.S. city infrastructure, replacing simple carts and ladders for maintaining streetlights. The result of a bet lost on the outcome of the 1948 U.S. presidential election. When you love baseball more than anything else, Tigers fans celebrate their World Series victory. Detroit, 1984. The audience at a session of hypnotist Anatoly Kashpirovsky for obesity treatment, Russia, 1989. Menelik II, the King of Kings of Ethiopia, believed in the power of the Bible. When he felt unwell, he would tear out pages from the Holy Scriptures and eat them. He died in 1913, having eaten the entire Book of Kings. Mobile Confession, presumably USA, 1940s. Kashmir Giants with Traveler Professor Rickleton, India, 1903. A Horse in a Tree After a Storm in Louisville, Kentucky, 1937. American soldiers inspect the cremation ovens at the liberated Dachau concentration camp, 1945. Young lady looks at the camera while the men secure their baggage to their car. Migrants from Florida to New York in a stop in Shawboro, North Carolina, July 1940. A Vietnamese family fleeing to Saigon during the Vietnam War, 1972. In 1918, Frances Griffiths and her cousin photographed what they claimed were real fairies and became famous overnight. It wasn't until 1983 that it was revealed this was the world's very first major hoax. Crowds cheering Adolf Hitler's campaign to unite Austria and Germany, 1938. Female firefighters wash the blood of those killed in a German artillery attack from the asphalt, USSR, 1943. Prayer for peace, 100,000 monks praying, Thailand. The coronation of Bokassa, the Emperor of the Central African Republic. 1/3 of the country's budget was spent on it, and among the refreshments was the meat of his political opponents. English women demand the right to serve in the military, citing that Italian women are allowed, 1915. In 1916, when the U.S. debated whether to enter World War I, legislators from Nebraska proposed a bill for a national referendum. Anyone who voted for war would immediately become a volunteer and be sent to the front. 8-year-old Christian accepts the flag during the memorial service for his father, who was killed on patrol in Iraq just a few weeks before he was due to return home. Typists type blindfolded during a typewriting competition. Paris, 1940. Toys of children, prisoners of the Nazi death camp Majdanek, discovered after liberation by Soviet soldiers, 1944. Siamese twins, Rosa and Joseph Blazek, and Rosa's lover, Franz Dvorak. In Congo, Belgians cut off the hands of children and women as punishment for poorly performed rubber collection work, late 19th century. Meet Johan K. Petersen, the tallest man in Icelandic history, standing in an incredible 7 feet 8 inches. That's 2.34 meters. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.